Hello and welcome to the Oracle's Chamber. This is the inner sanctuary of sales and marketing, money, tactics, strategy, business growth, and solving business problems. Today's episode is one of those late night recordings, so forgive me. I can't talk like a maniac like I normally would do because I don't wake up everybody in the house and all my neighbors. But today, I want us to look at how to start a podcast for free to grow your business and to do all of that in less than 1 hour. I repeat, lots of you have been listening to podcasts for a while. A couple of you think it's a good idea to start a podcast. I have been trying to discourage some of you from starting a podcast precisely because of the level of time investment and maybe even money investment that goes into these sorts of things. But I figured today, let me bite the bullet. Let me finally just tackle this thing. If you say you want to start a podcast to grow your business, how can you start that podcast for free without paying a single kobo, without dropping a single dime? And how can you do that in less than 1 hour? As per, let's just decide, let's get this thing going. No more, let me start next week, let me start next month, let me start in 2 months, let me raise 2 million naira. Let me do this, let me do that. Sure, let's just start. So, if you're going to start a podcast to grow your business, the whole scope, the whole goal is you're going to try and gain exposure. You're trying to get affinity with new audiences. In other words, you're going to be trying to look for people who didn't know you before. That is exposure. Let people know your name. Let people know what you do. Let people know what your business is about. Let people know about your product or service. That's the goal. Please remember. Then affinity. That means, they like you, they love you. They want to flow with you. That's the whole idea. Exposure and affinity with new audiences. The goal is not to be cool. The goal is not to sound cool. The goal is not to position yourself in any kind of way. The goal is not packaging. The goal is not any of that extra soft stuff. I repeat, this is a business podcast. All of us who are listening to this thing, we're businessmen and businesswomen. Or we're thinking of getting involved in business. Or we are employees who sell on behalf of somebody. So if we grab the mic, it's not to be cool. Please hear me. The goal is exposure and then affinity with new audiences. Bear that in mind. Now, let's look at the expectations now. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter the country that you're in. Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, the tropics. This kind of thing is a medium to long-term investment. In other words, you're going to be doing this thing for 3 years to 5 years before you know whether this thing is working or not, before you know whether this thing is a waste of time or not. I repeat, the time investment required for this thing is 3 to 5 years at the very least before you know whether this thing is working. If you are looking for the kind of business tactic or strategy or whatever that will give you money next week, please listen up. Podcasting is not for you. If you didn't hear me correctly, let me say it again. If you're looking for something that you will start in January and then by March money has started coming in, please, podcasting is not for you. 3 to 5 years, medium to long term, that is the amount of time investment required. So, now, ask yourself, quite frankly, is this kind of thing worth the time investment? Ask yourself before you start. Because if you start now and you give up in 8 months, you have wasted 8 months of your life. You hear me? If you start now and you give up after a year and a half, you have wasted a year and a half of your life. So ask before you begin. 3 to 5 years. Is this worth the time investment? Because this thing, medium to long term. Now, there are some people who have pulled it off in the short term. Just know that they are the anomaly. All right? Those are exceptional circumstances. Don't assume that your own story is going to be exceptional. Don't assume. It'll be nice, but don't assume. I personally, I don't know any of those people who've done it exceptionally well. That you start in January and then, by March, April, you're making money. I don't know any of those people. But for the sake of argument, those people exist. Don't assume that will be your story. For everybody else, it's 3 to 5 years. Ask yourself if you're willing to invest that amount of time. Now, there are problems that some of you are going to face. There's a problem of no money because you need to buy equipment. You need a brand new laptop. You need audio editing software. You need, what else? You need a microphone. Then the editing costs that are involved. That's for those of you who are not good at editing. You hire an editor. Audio editor, video editor, whatever. Then, of course, you set up a recording booth in your house. And then there's also the problem that a lot of you who want to get into this game, you don't have podcasting expertise. So you're brand new. You're a total jambite. These are some of the reasons why some of you never start. These are some of the reasons why some of you say it's a good idea to have a podcast. I would want to have a podcast. But then you say that in January, and then people ask you in March, like, how far now? You say, no, I'm coming, I'm going, I'm on it. Then they see you again in July. Say, how far now? So like, yeah, I'm planning, launching soon. And then they ask you again in, October. I say, how far? I say, you know what? It's something I'm pushing towards Q1 of next year. So next year. Before you know it, next year becomes next quarter, becomes next year, and then 3 years has passed, and you've never started that podcast. It's because you're focusing on this whole thing. I don't have money. I don't have equipment. Editing is expensive. I don't have a recording booth. Where am I going to put the recording booth? I only have 3 bedrooms in my house. I don't have podcasting expertise. I don't want to start off sounding like a jambite. I want to start off sounding professional and polished. The solution is quite simple. I say it a lot. Too many people don't take me up on it. In fact, I only have one person who has taken me up on it, and she's doing quite well. That's my former student. Her name is Mombola Adekola, and her show is on the African Free Trade Continental Treaty. I think the show is called Trade Beyond Borders. So she did exactly what I said, which is what I'm going to tell you to do. And if you do that, you're going to be able to start a podcast for free. You won't spend money to grow your business. And you will do this in less than 1 hour. The solution number 1 is use your phone. You already have the phone. You've already paid for the phone. So in a sense, like it's there. You're not renting it. Just use your phone. You don't even need to worry about a microphone. Now, my student, Mobola, she got a microphone. I recorded more than 1,000 episodes on my phone without using a microphone. I'm currently recording this podcast episode straight into my microphone. No editing software. No photo booth. No nothing. No gishbao. My phone. Only. Eventually, I got a microphone. So now I'm talking into the microphone. The microphone is plugged directly into my phone. I'll explain why. Later on, I'm plugging it direct. Because, people use Bluetooth recording technology and stuff like that. I'm not a fan, for different reasons. And, I have a media background, so I'll explain later. But my microphone is plugged directly into my phone. So even if you're going to spend money and you're going to do this thing my way, guess how much my microphone cost? 7,000 naira. That's all. My microphone cost 7,000 naira. 7 and 3 zeros. If you don't believe me, I got it at Ebano. If you're based in Lagos, you're based in the East, you're based in Abuja, you're based anywhere where there's an Ebano, go to Ebano right now after you're done listening to this podcast episode. You'll find a section where they sell microphones, telephone adapters, chargers, things like that. Usually, it's close to the beauty section. I've entered into 2 Ebanos so far, 3 Ebanos, sorry, and I noticed that the layout always seems to be the same. So just enter there and ask for the beauty section. As you are nearing the beauty section, you will see where the microphone is. Wired microphones, lapel microphones, computer stands, mobile phone stands, battery chargers, all those sorts of things. Go there. You will see it. 7K only. I'm making this podcast recording in 2026. So sorry if you're listening to this in 2029 or whatever. Maybe the price has gone up. But in 2026, 7,000 naira only. That is the only extra thing that I have spent in trying to up production value on the podcast. That's the solution. Your phone only. What kind of phone? It doesn't matter. I've done it all. Right now, I have over 1,500 episodes. I recorded over 1,000 of them without using a microphone. I've recorded on a Samsung Duo, yeah, the cheap one, the very cheap one, not small phone, double SIM. I've recorded on an iPhone 5. I've recorded on an iPhone 6. Then is there 6 Plus? I'll be now 5 Plus. Then I've recorded on a Nokia C1. I think that was an Android Go, like a very cheap phone. I was in one shop where a woman wanted to buy a phone for her daughter, and I just wanted to be, helpful now. As per I was in the shop, and there was C1 was on table. I told her, "Oh, madam, like this phone is okay. I've used this one before." The man looked at me and said, "This phone is a toy." Then she pushed it away. I said, "Okay, C1 is a toy." So, if you're one of those people who believes that the Nokia C1 is a toy, believe some of the episodes you've listened to, if you've been listening to me for a long time, was recorded on the Nokia C1. Android Go, no be even full Android. You get me? As in, people look at it and say it's a children's phone. I've used it all. Currently, I'm using a Redmi 13C, entry-level phone. Chinko, China phone. I've used it all. Samsung, iPhone, Nokia, Xiaomi, I've used it all. Which phone? Does not matter. Any modern phone, audio quality is good enough. That's all you need. Sorry if I'm overstressing it. I know there's some people here who don't believe me and who are not getting it. I'm trying to drum it into their heads. You want to start a podcast for free? You want to grow your business? You want to do all of this in less than an hour? If you're listening to me right now, the time is 9 o'clock. You want to go live. You want to launch. Latest, 10 o'clock today. Use your phone. This very same phone you're using to listen to me. Then, apart from using your phone, focus on one take. One take just means on your mic, or yeah, begin the yarn, just talk. Anything will happen, just take out like that. One take. No redo. Don't redo. Don't start over. Just do one take. So long as you focus on the structure of your content, the quality of the idea that you're trying to pass across, you will be fine. This is not a matter of crisp audio. I told you I'm at home. I'm going to do this in one take. No pause. No, okay, well, I'll pause. If my son comes and says, oh, dad, there's a lizard on my bed, of course, I have to go and take care of the lizard. So I'll just pause, go and take care of the lizard, come back, I'll play, and I'll say, sorry about that. I needed to attend to one or two things. and then the yarns continue. So long as I'm focused on the value that I'm providing in the content, I know the quality of the ideas, I know the content of the structure of the content, everything is fine. I am not a broadcaster. You are not a broadcaster. I'm not a media professional, neither are you. Anybody that is listening to your podcast, they know that. And they will forgive you if you cough once in a while. Or if your wife is shouting in the background or whatever, just give it your best shot. Look for a reasonably quiet place and just do this damn thing in one take. If you do it in one take, you don't have to worry about editing cost or editing time. So do your best, but the audio doesn't have to be crisp. It doesn't have to be fantastic. Sometimes you will hear, shoo, 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 shoo from the microphone. I figured it out one day that the reason why they think they do shoo, shoo, shoo is because I'm holding my hand, I hold it really close to the foam part of the microphone. So sometimes my finger rubs against it. Has that stopped any of you from listening to the podcast? Sometimes it's okay, I hold the thing too close to my mouth, so it brushes against my mustache, and then the thing will be doing shoo, 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 shoo. Has that stopped any of you from listening to the podcast? You guys think the quality of this thing is dope. That's why you're here. That's why you keep telling other people about the podcast. Stop focusing on crisp audio. The time will come. But for now, record this damn thing in one take. Focus on delivering quality ideas to people. People will listen. They know that this is not CNN. They know that this is not BBC. You are the subject matter expert. Be confident in that. Deliver what you can deliver, how you can deliver. The podcast episode that I recorded years ago, when my last born was still really small, I was recording. I thought I was making progress. Then my son just burst in from nowhere and says, "Dad, I want to pee." In my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm finished. I paused. I went to go and sort him out. I came back. And for a while, I thought, hi. I've already recorded for over 20 minutes now. I don't know how to edit. My brother has jackpot. It's not as if I can carry this file and give it to him and then he will cut out, "Dad, I want to pee." I say, you know what? I said, may I just chest down? Let me just be brave. I just pressed play. I continued talking. And I just said, sorry about that. I had to attend to the baby for a moment. Then I just continue. I found out later on, a listener of the show reached out to me, female. She said that was the cutest episode she had ever heard. She said it was cute. You hear me? Some people say it was raw, that now authentic. Meanwhile, for me, I'm thinking, yeah, it has happened. I've spoken for over 20 minutes. My baby just burst in, shouting, "Dad, I want to pee." I say, yeah. These people think I'm an unprofessional goat. Meanwhile, people heard it. They say it's cute. They say it's raw. They say it's authentic. They say it's engaging. You're the one that is afraid, and your fear, the way you're looking, that fear is too much. Record this thing in one take. Give it your best. Crisp audio no be the problem. The problem is your ideas are unfocused. That's the reason why people believe in your podcast. Now, there's another member of a podcasting community that I belong to. This guy, a professional broadcaster, as per radio experience, TV background, all of that. So he has a real proper professional setup. His podcast is about, Man U, Arsenal, and all these sorts of things. So he has a proper studio, proper microphones, proper computers, editor, like everything. So one day the guy said, "You know what? You're not really a podcaster." I said, "I'm not a podcaster." I said, "Yeah, you're not." And I told him, "Yeah, actually, I'm not a podcaster. I'm a business consultant, who just happens to have a podcast." And the guy said, "Even like that, what you're doing is not podcasting." I said, "Okay, and like me, what am I doing?" The guy said, "What you're doing is you're just making voice notes and uploading the voice notes." And I said, "Perfect." So for your podcast, that is what I'm inviting you to do. Just make a voice note and upload it. It's fine. still works. With that approach, trust me, you will start your podcast for free to grow your business. You will do it in less than 1 hour. If you're listening to me right now, let's say it's 9:30 a.m. in the morning, your podcast can be live by 10:30 today as you're listening to this podcast. 1 hour from now, if you just do what I say. Now, the foundation of this approach to make this thing work is your content calendar. Content calendar just means what am I going to say? And who am I talking to? So some of you, the reason why you are going to fail is because content calendar, 0. You don't know who it is you want to talk to, and you don't know what it is that you want to say. So anybody who asks me, I tell them, look, before we even start talking phone or no phone, laptop, I be no laptop, microphone, I be no microphone, studio, I be no studio, the very first thing I say is, who are you talking to and what will you say? If you can't sit down with pencil and paper and come up with a rough content calendar, that this is who I'm talking to, this is what I want to say, and these are my first, 20 topics, my first 30 topics, you can't come up with that, my friend, you will fail. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what it is that you want to say. And you don't have a unique opinion on nothing. You're trying to regurgitate what is already out there. That is why a lot of you say, I want to do motivational podcast, relationship podcast. I say, look, will you stop that rubbish? Everybody starts with a relationship podcast. Everybody starts with a motivational podcast. Everybody says, live your best life, follow your dreams, something, something, something. Like, don't you have anything unique to say? Don't you have your own opinion on something? That is why a lot of you are going to fail. You go around saying that the podcast is not good for promoting your business. A podcast is good for promoting your business. The problem is you couldn't come up with a content calendar. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what it is that you're going to say. And you don't have a unique opinion on nothing. So you started and everything quickly went, meh, like bland. And of course, if you're bland, nobody will listen to you. You guys are listening and you're recommending other people to listen to this podcast because whether you like my approach or not, you know I'm not bland, if nothing else. The real issue, why some of you will fail is, you can't think up a content calendar. You have no unique point of view. We have to sort that out first. But of course, people never listen. They always focus on money, equipment, blah, 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 blah. And then I say, hey, what's up now? How far? It's been 6 months. How far with the podcast now? No clear reason. Just excuse. Before it was money. Okay, no problem. You raised the mill. You bought a couple of stuff. You bought microphone, you bought laptop, you bought light, you bought this, you bought that. So now what's the problem? My house, no space. I pack it up, I shut it down, one thing, just excuses. Can this thing be done? Now you start a podcast for free to grow your business. And you start your podcast in less than 1 hour. Excuse me. Can this thing be done? The answer is yes. I have done it again. Today, as I'm talking to you, today, not somebody else, me. I started a new podcast where I make movie reviews. Excuse me. Movie reviews of Nollywood movies. Nollywood movies on YouTube. Because I was chilling with my wife, love of my life, and we're just talking about some Nollywood movies that I'm watching. And I said, this thing is good, it's nice, it's everything. Like joke, I said, I should even start a movie review podcast. And my wife said, you should. I look her in the eye and I said, this baby serious. So she said, I should. I said, okay, no wala. So I dropped the kids in school. I got back. I checked my watch. I said, okay, the time is currently like that kind of 8:15. My first coaching session is around 10 o'clock. I said, I can do it now. I might give myself 1 hour. Sharp. Bah. That was it. The goal is, I'm doing movie reviews, and I'm trying to expose myself to new audiences. I'm trying to gain affinity with new audiences. I'm trying to look for other avenues so that people can come across me. I said, this guy's a sharp guy, sha. What does he do, by the way? He's a business consultant. Okay, 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 okay. You know, new audiences, exposure, affinity. And by the way, this is an experiment. It's a trial. It might flop. I'm willing to invest 3 to 5 years to see if this thing is a flop. I'm not going to start now and then stop in 4 or 5 months because I know with this experiment, let me try it. And I know anyway that everything yields an outcome. There was one time when I was struggling with something, I can't remember what it was, and I said, this thing know they yield fruit. The person I was talking to said, the thing is yielding fruit. I said, this thing know they yield fruit. The person said, this thing is yielding fruit. The thing is, it's just not the fruit that you like. The thing opened up my eyes. I said, it's true, Sha. Everything you do yields fruit. Everything you do has an outcome. The problem is, the outcome that is happening is maybe it's just not the outcome that you like. So, even if this thing does not pop off in the sense of opening other people up to me and my business consulting practice, you will still have an outcome. At the end of the day, it's okay, this outcome, where the thing the outcome. I like him, I be I don't like him. It makes sense, I be you know make sense. Try is an experiment. Let's see. Where would it go? So my new show is called Nollywood Unscripted. I recorded episode 1 today, and I reviewed this Omoni Oboli movie, Permission to Break Up, with Michael Dapper and then Etim. I can't remember her name. One fine babe like this, Niger babe. She attended, I think, New York School of Performing Arts, something, something. I think it's the same school that Tupac went to. Tupac Amari Shakur, then Jada Pinkett Smith. I think this guy again. This guy in what's his name now? The guy, this movie where like he was an assassin who had amnesia and stuff. I can't remember the guy's name anyway. But I think that's the school that they all went to. So she went there. This team babe, correct babe, fine babe, Niger babe. So that's the movie that I reviewed on the podcast episode. How long did all this take? Okay, I lied to you. It actually took more than 1 hour. Because remember, by the time I looked at my watch, it was around that kind of 8:15. My first coaching session was 10. So what I did was I came up with the show description. I came up with the outline for the first recording. So the outline for the first recording took about an hour because this one a film review. So I can't just hop on the mic and freestyle the way like I freestyle here. So that one I actually had to come up with a small outline. This is the movie, this is the synopsis, these are the themes, stuff like that. So that one took like maybe an hour. Then I came up with the show name. For the content calendar, there's no need for content calendar because, now film had a review and it's on YouTube that I watch all these films. So in other words, my content calendar is my YouTube history. I just go to the top. Once I finish one, the one that is at the bottom, that's my next one. When I finish that one, the one that is at the bottom, that's the next one. But you can see, content calendar, that one don't be sorted. In fact, the Omoni Oboli movies that I want to review, the ones that I've downloaded to watch, there are 30. That's my content calendar. My first 30 topics already sorted. Assuming I record only one episode a week, I have 30 weeks lined up. How many weeks in a year? 52. Can you see that before I even start, I already have more than 6 months. My topic is already set more than 6 months. Some of you say I make this thing look easy. Of course I make it look easy because I've done the hard work. The hard work is content calendar. What am I going to say? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to young Nigerians who like watching Nollywood movies. Okay, I know that. What am I going to say to them? Okay, no problem. This playlist where I don't organize on YouTube, this playlist, this is what I'm going to say to them. Is it not sorted? Will it not now be easy? So, yeah, it took me more than 1 hour because coming up with the first outline for the show, coming up with these things, because remember, it's brand new, show description. Oh, I also designed the podcast art. I did that using Google Gemini. It's AI tool from from Google. So it allowed me to design the podcast art. So designing the podcast art, coming up with the name, coming up with the outline for the first recording, all that took 1 hour. Then I answered a few calls, had my coaching session. Then later on in the afternoon, I now jumped on the microphone and then recording the episode itself. It took me 44, I think about 44 minutes. So I recorded the episode. Then I just dashed off. I said, okay, let me go pick the kids and then do one or two things. Then is when I now came back in the evening that I now created the RSS link, everything. I'm doing all this on my phone, and then uploaded that first episode. So if I spend time on this thing today, maybe I spent 2 hours. But tomorrow, since everything has already been created, I've created the show title, I've created the description, I've created the podcast art, I've created the RSS feed, I've done all that hard work. Tomorrow, if I record another one and I only spend, let's say, 20 minutes in recording, 20 minutes is all it's going to take me. Because nowadays we have fast internet, the uploading on the internet part, that one will be maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So if I record 20 minutes, it takes me 5 minutes to upload. 25, 30 minutes, I am done. And remember, my content calendar, I have a playlist of 30 movies. And guess what? As time goes, will the playlist not increase? Some of you wonder, how come I never run out of topics? I never run out of topics because I pay attention to the content calendar. So it can be done. I've done it again. The podcast went live today. If you like these sorts of things, then check it out. Let me know. It's called Nollywood Unscripted. Nollywood now, like Nigeria films. Then Unscripted. Nollywood Unscripted. Just check it out. Let me know. But it can be done. You can do it today. Come up with a small thesis. How can I use a podcast for exposure to new audiences, to build affinity with new audiences? Come up with a thesis. Come up with a guess. Remember, it's an experiment that is going to take 3 to 5 years. So if you have 3 to 5 years to invest, well, yeah, let's begin this experiment. Even if it doesn't work out, you never know what kind of opportunities that is going to open. You don't know what you can leverage something into. But also be prepared for this thing to fail. I'm okay with shutting this thing down in 3 years. Like, okay, it don't make sense. But summary, what I'm trying to say today is just start. And that's my general approach to business. Just start. Is this thing a good idea? Okay, maybe it is. But let us start. The next thing is we have to validate this idea. Validating the idea just means, do people like this thing? Do people want this thing? Can I effectively promote this thing? Just start. Put something out into the world. That's my approach. And that's why I keep talking to you guys about Ikenga Software Factory, iksf.ng. Nigerian founders, you can put your product out there. If software development costs are too expensive, you don't know how to code, you don't have a tech founder, it's not a problem. You go to Ikenga Software Factory, iksf.ng. You go there, you get your product live in 7 days. You get a free .com.ng domain. Free hosting. 1 year. Whatever you design is yours. You can leave whenever you want. We're offering you 20% off. The discount code is TAV, T-A-V. That's my name. Or Ayede, A-Y-E-D-E. Also my name, my surname. That's the discount code. Just start. You want to start a podcast? Stop thinking. Just start. I've told you how you can do it for free. And I've done it again. Today, as I'm recording this podcast episode, you want to start a business? Just start. The approach is simple. Just start. Then validate it. Do people like it? Do people want it? Can I promote it? Put something concrete into the world. And that's why that podcast episode where I was vexing for this babe. I say she wants to start jewelry business and all. And we quarreled. Yeah, and of course she hasn't been in touch with me since then. As I was telling her, just start. You've decided it's going to be jewelry, Abby. No problem. The place where you're serving is not far from Kano, Abby. No problem. Kano, you have access to the gold market, Abby. No problem. You already have some hookups for diamond and the other thing, Abby. No problem. Which one you they talk branding, talking office space like? Just start. Buy a few pieces. Buy some small gold. Buy some small silver. Buy some small diamond. Begin the sell am. Push it out. Start. Validate it. Do people like this kind of gold? Do people like this kind of silver? Do people like this kind of diamond? Just start. Put something out. Anyway, let me stop ranting. I guess you already get the point. But one more thing. Some of you are afraid of starting with zero, starting with crickets. I want to encourage you because I started today in the morning. Right now it's just after midnight. I went to go and check how many listens. Guess what? Zero. Zero listens. So when you hear people like me saying everybody starts at zero, we're not being modest. It's the truth. Zero. Gary Vaynerchuk has also said it too, that he started at zero because it's the truth. It doesn't matter who you like. Everybody starts at zero. You like Beyonce? Guess what? Okay, well, Beyonce didn't start at zero. Beyonce started at 4. She was performing, her and her sister. The people in the audience was Popsy and Monsi and 2 siblings. So Beyonce started at 4. So take your pick. Some of us start at 0, some people start at 4. But either way, don't be discouraged. So that's it. Thanks for your time and attention. If you'd love to connect, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Don't forget to check out my new podcast, Nollywood Unscripted. If you like it, let me know. Even if you don't like it, at least I hope it shows you that you can start a podcast for free to grow your business. And you can do it in less than an hour. Okay, well, to be honest, it took me 2 hours. Sure, you can do it 2 hours. Okay, let's be realistic. For some of you who are, like to overthink stuff, you can do it in 1 day. It doesn't require too much thinking. The only thinking you have to do is, who am I talking to? What am I going to say to them? What is my unique point of view? Once you can figure out that easy part, this hard part, who am I talking to? What will I say to them? What's my unique point of view? If you have a phone, you're done. You don't need any more equipment. Just start. So, thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other time.